We're going to click on Packet Tracer download page. And what we want to do is look for our operating system. I'm on the Mac, so this is Mac OS version 8. You can download Windows or Linux versions. There's no more mobile version of Packet Tracer, so you can't use it on your phone. But what you want to do is get the latest version of Packet Tracer. We'll download 8. Once it's finished downloading, you can go ahead and click it and open it up the installer. You'll have a setup wizard. You just step through it and install. The setup should be pretty much the same on a PC. Remember, this is a Mac, so your screen may look different. Okay, we're done. Now that we've gone ahead and installed Packet Tracer, we are ready for the next lab. We're going to go back to our course, click on the Packet Tracer lab. We're going to download the file. When you download the file, it should automatically open up in Packet Tracer. If it does not, try rebooting your computer so that the settings are reset so that it knows what kind of file to open up the PKA file, which is the file we downloaded. So if you have trouble with Packet Tracer not opening the exercise, what you want to do is go ahead and restart your computer. Now when you first start it, what's going to happen is it's going to ask for your name. Always put your name in here. This is going to let your instructor know that you're the person that did it, that no one else did your homework for you. And we'll just hit OK. So put your name and your email address. We'll hit OK. It says since we changed our name, it's going to reset the activity. Like I said, that's so that you can't turn in someone else's work. We're going to say yes. It's going to put it back to 0% completion. You can also do that if you want to restart the activity. Like maybe you've got so lost in the activity that it's not working correctly, you want to start over. You can always do that. Just start over the Packet Tracer. One of the things I always do is go down here. This checkbox down here is called top. And what it's going to do is it's going to keep these instructions on top. So in case you don't have multiple monitors set up where you can look at the instructions and do the lab at the same time, clicking this button here will make sure that this stays on top so you can always see these instructions. I always start by doing that. What we're going to do is it's going to take us about 15 minutes and we're going to build a small network using Packet Tracer. We can use these arrows down here to flip through pages of the directions. What we want to do for our Packet Tracers is typically get this completion up to 100%. Whatever completion you have here is going to be the percentage of the lab that you've completed. So we're going to click Next. And of course for this lab it's an overview of Packet Tracer. So it's just going to have you point to stuff and look at stuff and figure out the interface. So it says in the lower left part of the screen, you're going to see a palette of devices. That's these down here. When you hover your mouse over the top row of these devices, it's going to tell you categories of equipment that you can put out on the Packet Tracer lab. So notice when I put my mouse over this icon, it says Network Devices. Move it over to the second one, it says End Devices, Components, Connections, Miscellaneous, and Multi-User Connections. Now this palette on the bottom is tied to the icon on the top. So under network devices, I can see there's routers, switches, hubs, wireless devices, security, and WIN emulation. These are all networking devices. If I wanted to get a device that wasn't a network device, like an end user device, I could click on this icon here. Notice the device categories under here change. End devices, home, smart city, industrial, or power grid. Let's go back to the network devices. As we change to the different types of network devices, you'll notice the equipment in this area here will change. So these are all routers. The reason they're all routers is because I have clicked on routers in this category window. If I flip over to switches, notice my equipment changes. These are all different models of switches that Cisco offers. If I click on hubs, these are hubs. Wireless controllers, wireless devices. So what I'm going to do is go back to routers and then click on switches. For this exercise, it wants us to put a switch inside of the simulator window. So what we're going to do is click on switches and then the switch called PT switch, which is generic switch. We're going to click on the actual piece of equipment. Notice it turns to a cancel button. That's in case we want to cancel what we just did. After we click it, we can click on the network area right here and just click it once. Notice it puts that piece of equipment on our equipment area. The next thing it wants us to do is put two PCs on the network diagram area. So we're going to click on End Devices. Here's our PCs. I'm going to click it once. Click it twice. So now we have two PCs and a switch on our network. Now these devices can be used by themselves, but the power of the network is not going to be used. So what we want to do is make these computers so that they're able to talk to one another. In order to do that, we need to wire them together some kind of way. So what we're going to do is click on the connections category. After we click on connections, we're going to click and notice when I move my mouse over these different icons for the different types of connections, the description at the bottom changes. So you can see this is coaxial cable, this is phone lines, fiber optic cable, crossovers, straight through. For this particular lab, it wants us to use a copper straight through cable. That's this one. We're going to click it. And then what we do is we click one of the computers that we want to connect to the switch. So we're going to click on PC0. When you do that, it's going to give you a list of different kinds of connections that are in the back of the computer. We have USB ports, we have serial ports. For this lab, we want to connect it to the fast Ethernet port, which is on the network card. So we go down and click on there. Notice now I have a cable connection. I just need to tell Packet Tracer where to put the other end of the cable. We're going to connect it to the switch. Again, what happens is it gives us a list of all of the interfaces. For this particular exercise, we want to connect to the fast Ethernet 01 port. Remember, you always have to select the right port that the directions tell you to select, or you won't get credit. Once I click on there, which you may notice down at the bottom of the directions now, my completion says 25%. So I've completed 25% of the lab now by making that connection. The next thing it wants us to do is do another copper straight through from PC1, fast Ethernet 0 interface, to the switch, fast Ethernet 1/1 interface. Notice 01 doesn't appear anymore in my list. It's because it's being used by the other computer. So we're going to click that port. Notice my completion now turns to 50%. These computers are wired together, but they're not going to be able to speak with one another yet because we haven't configured the network interface cards. So what we're going to do is give these computers IP addresses. Remember, you need an address to be able to talk on the network. So we're going to click on PC0. When you do that, you're going to get a dialog box with a bunch of tabs in it. We want to usually click on the desktop tab, and then we'll be able to access these things like command prompts, browser windows, things like that. What we want to do is go under IP configuration, and according to the directions, we want to give the network interface card, the fast Ethernet 0 card, the IP address 172.20.1. Be careful for typos. And then a subnet mask of 255.255.0.0. Once I put that in, I don't need to click OK anywhere. I can just close it. Notice now my completion is up to 75%. If you want to quickly check the addresses of pieces of equipment, you can hover your mouse over the piece of equipment. Notice when I put my mouse over the equipment, it tells me that the fast Ethernet link is up, and it tells me the IP address. What I need to do now is give the other computer an address. Same method, desktop, IP config, 172.20. One thing you have to remember is no two devices can have the same address. So the last address that we gave to the other computer was 172.20.1.1. For this one, it's going to be 172.20.1.2. We can go ahead and close that now. You can see now my completion's up to 100%. But typically we don't want to just configure a computer and leave it without checking it first. So what we're going to do is Packet Tracer has the ability to send test packets. So what we're going to do is choose this icon here. It's at the top of your screen. It is the simple PDU packet. Add simple PDU. And what I'm going to do is send a test message from PC0 to PC1. It's going to test my network. When you do that, it doesn't look like much happened, but if I look down here in this results panel, I can see the test was successful. We're going to use this results panel a lot. So what we've covered in this lab is the equipment panel down here, where you can pick which equipment that you put on the Packet Tracer window, the results panel here, and then we use this test add simple PDU tool also. When you're done, what you want to do is hit File, Save As, and typically in the directions it's going to give you directions on how to name your file. In this particular lab, it says save your file as last name, first name, or last name, PT Lab 12. So what we're going to do is go back, put that in my name field. I'm going to change this to my last name. Save it someplace that you remember where it is. You can put it in your documents on your desktop. We'll go ahead and put it on my desktop. We'll hit save. Okay. After we save it, we can close Packet Tracer. Once we do that, we're going to go back to our Moodle webpage. We're going to click on the packet tracer icon, the lab icon, and we'll have a submit button. And what you want to do is upload that save file. I also typically want you to take a screenshot of your packet tracer lab that says 100% in the lab. That proves to me that you did it. So once you do that, upload that, and then you'll be good to go for this particular assignment.